Welcome to the Design Rodeo podcast. This is the space where we explore all things design, business, education, and the ever-changing dynamics of our industry. Whether you're a seasoned professional, an up-and-coming designer, or just curious about the creative field, this podcast has something for you. With over 15 years of experience as a designer, leader, and educator, I'm here to share insights, spark meaningful conversations, and help you thrive in your design journey. If you're looking to expand your skill set and build your career, check out our educational courses and resources at designrodeo.com. My name is Lisa Garrell. Let's dive in. Hey there, design enthusiasts. Welcome to the Design Rodeo, your go-to podcast for all things design education and career growth. I'm your host, Lisa Garrell, and I'm thrilled to have you join me today. For those of you who are new here, Design Rodeo is part of a larger platform where we provide design educational tools, coaching, and consulting services for both individuals and businesses. As your host, I bring 15 years of experience to the table, including 10 years as a people manager. These days, I split my time between coaching, mentoring, and teaching as an adjunct faculty member, focusing on UX, UI, research, and business. Today, we're diving into a topic that often creates quite a buzz in the design world, UX versus UI design. Now, this might sound like alphabet soup to some of you, but stick with me. We're going to break it down in a way that makes sense. Let's start with how these terms are currently perceived in the industry. You know what's fascinating? The way people view UX and UI really depends on their department, education, experience, and industry. Everyone has their own take based on their lived experiences and preconceptions. For example, software developer might view UX as primarily about user flows and system architecture, while seeing UI as just the visual layer. A marketing professional might focus more on how the design affects brand perception and user engagement. Meanwhile, a business stakeholder might simply lump both together as, quote, making things pretty. Project managers often view UX as the research and planning phase, while considering UI as the implementation phase. And interestingly, even with the design field itself, you'll find different interpretations. Some see UX and UI as completely separate disciplines, while others view them as inseparable parts of the same process. Now, here's where it gets interesting, and maybe a little controversial. Many people outside the design field have some, well, let's say misconceptions about what UX and UI really are. And you can't really blame them. Design has traditionally been associated with visuals and aesthetics, so that's honestly what most people think it's all about. But here's the kicker. Even designers in the current industry sometimes get it wrong. I know. This might ruffle some feathers, but hear me out. Many designers today are hyper-focused on production work, what we call UI design, or user interface design. And while that's important, it's just not enough to be a truly effective designer. Part of this problem stems from our educational system. Academic programs and boot camps primarily focus on teaching UI design and production skills, which are things like visual design principles, prototyping tools, and coding basics. While these are essential skills, they're just one piece of the puzzle. This creates a challenging situation where new designers enter the workforce with strong technical and production skills, but then they're expected to learn the more strategic aspects of UX work, like user research or information architecture and business strategy on the job. This can frankly be overwhelming for both the designers and their employers, and it often leads to a disconnect between what companies need and what designers are prepared to deliver. The reality is that while Figma proficiency and visual design skills are important, they're just the beginning. The strategic thinking and problem-solving aspects of UX work are equally, if not more, crucial for creating successful products. So let me break this down with a metaphor that I love to use and probably use far too often: building a house. So they can think of UX or user experience as the foundation and systems that keep the house standing and functioning correctly. So with this, we're talking about things like the foundation, framing, plumbing, or electrical work. Meanwhile, UI, or user interface, is like the interior design, crafted to evoke specific emotions from the people living in or visiting the house. Just like how a house needs both structural integrity and aesthetic appeal to be truly successful, digital products need both UX and UI working together. Think about it. You wouldn't want to live in a beautifully decorated house with faulty plumbing or crumbling foundation, right? Similarly, an app with gorgeous visuals but poor functionality will not retain users. To extend this metaphor even further, UX designers are like architects and engineers. They need to understand load-bearing walls, or core functionality, traffic flow, user journeys, and utilities, or data architecture. They ensure the house is structurally sound, functional, and meets building codes, or technical requirements and user needs if we're talking about working in tech. UI designers, meanwhile, are like interior designers who make the space not just livable, but also delightful. They choose the colors, textures, and furnishings, or the visual elements that make people feel at home. They consider how different rooms or screens flow together and create a cohesive aesthetic that reflects the homeowner's or the brand's personality. And just like how a great house requires collaboration between architects, engineers, and interior designers, the best digital products come from UX and UI designers working together, each bringing their unique expertise to create something that's both functional and beautiful. UX is largely strategic work, all about solving problems and thinking about long-term user relationships, and then focusing on the retention and customer lifetime value. UI, on the other hand, is more focused on things like eliciting emotion through production work. While it can involve long-term thinking about brand scalability, it's not primarily focused on maintaining user relationships. So let me dig a bit deeper into this distinction. UX strategy involves understanding user behaviors, conducting research, analyzing data, and making informed decisions about product direction. It's about asking questions like, what problems are we solving? How do users currently accomplish this task? And what metrics indicate success? This strategic thinking requires a deep understanding of business goals, technical constraints, and user needs. A UX designer might actually spend weeks researching user behavior patterns, creating journey maps, conducting usability tests, and working with stakeholders to define product requirements. They're focused on the why and how of product decisions instead of the what. UI design, while requiring strategic thinking, is more focused on the emotional and aesthetic experience. UI designers carefully consider how color choices affect mood, how typography conveys brand personality, and how micro-interactions delight users. They ask questions like, how should this feel? What emotions do we want to evoke? And how do we maintain visual consistency? Think about your favorite app. The UX strategy ensures you can complete tasks efficiently and logically, while the UI design makes the experience enjoyable and memorable. Both aspects are crucial, but they approach product success from very different angles, one through systematic problem solving, and the other through emotional connection. But here's the really cool part of this. These are two different skill sets that one person can absolutely master. This is what we're seeing in the product designer role that's so popular right now. To be a really solid strategic partner, designers actually need end-to-end skills or at least a solid understanding of them. The double diamond framework is a perfect example of how all of these elements come together. So let me explain the double diamond framework for those who might not be familiar. It's a design process model that perfectly illustrates how UX and UI work together. The framework consists of 4 phases: discover, define, develop, and deliver. The first diamond, which is discover and define, is primarily UX focused, where we research, understand the problem space, and define our strategy. The second diamond, develop and deliver, is where UI really shines as we explore more visual solutions and refine them into a polished product. What's fascinating about this framework is how it demonstrates that good design isn't linear. It's actually a process of expanding and narrowing our focus and exploring broadly and then honing in on specific solutions. What that means is in the first diamond, we might conduct user interviews, analyze competitors, and gather data, which is expanding, then synthesize that information into clear problem statements and user needs, which is narrowing. The second diamond, we might explore multiple visual directions and interaction patterns, expanding, before finally refining those into a cohesive and polished interface, narrowing. This framework shows why both UX and UI skills are crucial. You need the strategic thinking and research skills to navigate the first diamond effectively, and the visual design and production skills to execute the second diamond successfully. It's a perfect example of how these different skill sets complement each other in the design process. But here's the thing, and this is really important. Designers need more than just UI skills or Figma experience. They need to understand business, engineering, product management, and research. This knowledge isn't just about being better at design. It's crucial for having effective conversations with stakeholders. Designers can only make themselves truly indispensable in today's industry by mastering all these skill sets and understanding how to use them effectively. Now, let me emphasize this point because it's crucial for career development. In today's rapidly evolving tech landscape, being indispensable means being adaptable and multi-skilled. It's not just enough to create beautiful interfaces or write clean code. The most valuable designers are those who can do a few things. First, you need to speak the language of business. Understanding metrics, ROI, and how design decisions impact business outcomes makes you a strategic partner rather than just an executor. When you can connect your design choices to business goals, you become part of the decision-making process, not just the implementation team. Second, you need to be able to bridge the gap between different departments. When you understand engineering constraints, product roadmaps, research methodologies, all of those things, you become the glue that holds the cross-functional teams together. The ability to translate between different disciplines and facilitate collaboration is incredibly valuable. Third, you need to think strategically about the future. The most indispensable designers aren't just solving today's problems, they're anticipating tomorrow's challenges, and they stay ahead of industry trends, continuously update their skills, and think about how their solutions will scale over time. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, indispensable designers are those who can teach and mentor others. When you can effectively communicate your knowledge and help others grow, you're not just valuable for your skills, you become valuable for your ability to multiply those skills across your team. Now that's all for today's episode of Design Rodeo. If you found this helpful, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. And if you're interested in learning more about design education or coaching, check out our website at designrodeo.com. Until next time, keep designing and keep learning.